How's it going, guys? Will here, and I've been a digital minimalist now for about 2 years. Over this time, I have, of course, learned a lot about digital minimalism, had a lot of fun on the way building different systems and trying new things out, but a good few of you have actually asked me along the way how you yourself can get into digital minimalism. So today, I thought I'd go over my most important steps on getting started in digital minimalism and how to make that transition as painless as possible. Now, I personally got into this from a work perspective. I found I was constantly procrastinating and staying on task became more and more difficult. However, I eventually realized I could just simplify my digital life and that should cut out a lot of the distractions. So that was my end goal, and I think an important first step is to think about what your end goal is with digital minimalism. Of course, along the way, I did notice a lot of other benefits. Even in my downtime when I wasn't working, I was still noticing those benefits of living a digitally minimalist lifestyle. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first real step is to declutter. This is possibly the most important step in taking that switch towards digital minimalism, because having a clean life free of junk is seriously awesome. And even if you're not interested in becoming a full digital minimalist, I would still strongly recommend doing this probably once a month. I recommend going through any old files on your computer that can now be deleted, such as old screenshots, old text documents, and do the same for your cloud services. So old notes, old photos, the whole lot. Go through it all and make sure that it's cleared up. Once you've done this, chances are you will already start noticing a significant difference between before and now. I found that doing this essentially gets rid of a lot of that procrastination, and of course I find the less that I'm distracted and the quicker I can actually get down to work, the more likely I am to actually do that work. Trust me, I'm pretty good at procrastinating, so avoiding this to get a higher quality of work done is always the best option. Okay, so next up, we're organizing. As somebody who works primarily in video, I do have a lot of files on my computer, so organization is of course very important. I also like to make sure my phone is nice and organized, including files, as this is a great second step in digital minimalism. To show you this properly, I'm essentially just going to show you a video project I've been working on, and as you can see, I've actually added key folders such as the project folder as well as epidemic sound to the favorites bar. I've personally found doing this makes it much easier to find the project file that I'm currently working on. Seriously, if you haven't tried that, definitely recommend it. As we can see, once we open up this project folder, I have the EOSR folder where I put all my camera clips, After Effects, and graphics. And once we head into Premiere Pro, we can see even more folders for organizing things like sequences and titles. I like to keep things organized. Spending that time to organize your files can help your workspace to be that much cleaner, and therefore, as soon as you actually start working, you are significantly more efficient. I mean, if you have a project on the go at the moment which requires a lot of files, try redoing your organization setup to something a little bit more specific. I guarantee it will make a significant difference. I also recommend doing this with the apps on your phone, and if you've ever seen any of my What's on My Phone videos, then you'll probably be used to these folders. But now I sort things into the app library. Your organization system probably shouldn't be linear, as I find that can be a little bit limiting, so I find that with new features added to things like operating systems, finding different ways to streamline your workflow is always great. Alright, so my next tip is to centralize your apps. For example, if you want to take notes, maybe try doing it all in Google Docs, or if you want to send a text message, maybe try something like Telegram or iMessage. There really is no right way to do this, as it's simply about finding what apps work well for you, then trying to use it as much as possible on as many devices as possible. That's also why I recommend being thoughtful in your tech purchases, as some of the apps that you may find useful might not be supported on that one new device that you're thinking about picking up. And if you find this is the case with a lot of apps, say you've already got a system in place and then this amazing sparkly new phone comes out, if it doesn't work with like half your apps, might be wise to reconsider it, because you don't want to have a separate system for this phone and then one for everything else. That won't be good. I mean, I've recently started using Safari across all my other devices because I was just using Chrome on that computer that I have there, and I'd never given the desktop version of Safari a proper try. That said though, once I realized that I could hand off tabs that I was looking at on my phone to my computer with minimal effort, I was kinda hooked. And there are many similar benefits in keeping your apps centralized around one system. Continuing on from this theme of centralization, it's also good to try to use cloud storage wherever possible. Now, don't get me wrong, I do understand that this can occasionally be a little bit inconvenient. I mean, who likes paying for iCloud? I certainly don't, because I always get notifications from them. Hey, your iCloud is full. Regardless though, if you are becoming a digital minimalist, it does make a lot of sense. I mean, not only from a practical sense though, if you forget something like a portable hard hard drive or your USB stick, you still do have access to all of your files. But also, again, it just helps keep the physical side of your digital life down to a minimum, and in the end, you only have to keep one copy of your files rather than like 3 across different devices. After this, we're talking backups. Now, contrary to what I just said about using cloud storage, I personally do prefer physical backups, so I recommend downloading your data maybe once a month or so and just backing it up to an external drive like the one I have here. Now, don't get me wrong, this should also be well managed and organized. I recommend dating all your backups, then organizing them from oldest to newest, as I found this does work well for me. But hey, you might want to sort by item type or oldest to newest. There is really no correct way to do this. Again, it all comes down to experimentation and what works well for you. And the final step with getting started in digital minimalism is getting rid of systems that don't work well. And this could mean anything from a failed organization technique to like a piece of tech that you've tried to work into your workflow, but just doesn't fit. And while you certainly don't have to get rid of it permanently, I mean, you could just keep it as like a fun piece of tech, or that failed file management system, maybe rebuild it into something that does. That said, I personally prefer to get rid of tech and file systems that don't work well in my life. Now, of course, as far as recommendations go, obviously the Apple ecosystem does immediately come to mind. However, you might find one that works better for you. I mean, I have some friends who use the Microsoft Surface system, and that works well for them. Regardless of the system you choose to build your workflow around, learning it in and out is by far the most important aspect. I switched to Mac around 4 years ago now, and I've found in this time, this is clearly the best option for me. And so I choose to build around iCloud, Apple apps, and eventually the iPhone and iPad. That said, please don't feel restricted by this. As I've said before, I actually don't use any Apple peripherals anymore. I use an MX Master, a mechanical keyboard, and some PreSonus speakers. So I'd say choose a system that works best for you, and then build your system around that. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, if you have any tips on getting started with digital minimalism with a comment. I always like reading your comments. As for now though guys, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.